All right, welcome back, everybody, to YMAO podcast episode 4. Today is August 1st, and uh, every time there's a new episode, I'm going to try my best to do something different or at least improve something. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to silence my phone so I don't get any rings, and we could just focus on talking to each other for a little bit of time. So, I'm going to do a fun challenge with a content creator friend. We are doing a challenge called Project 248, and there's a lot of contingencies, but it pretty much is doing content creation for 248 days. So I think that works out to the next 6 months. I was thinking of putting a podcast episode out every single day, which sounds a little bit crazy and definitely drills the whole consistency aspect into it. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I feel like I give excuses all the time, and I have a lot of different things to do and a lot of different projects, so I always say that, I'm just gonna try and split my time effectively, but I never really do. I end up getting distracted or not really doing what I say I'm going to do. But for this project, we're putting $500 on the line, so I kind of don't have a choice on if I'm going to do well or not. I just have to do it and hope that I get better. And I think the thing that is probably the most interesting is trying to improve every time. I think in the past when I would make content, I kind of stopped thinking at some point. Like, I kept on trying to improve and kept on trying to improve, but at one point I just kind of hit a wall in terms of what I wanted to do or how creative I wanted to be. And so I'm hoping that I hope that I can at least be a little bit more dynamic in this one. So yeah, we're not really doing tech only on this channel anymore. It probably will be talked about a little bit just because that is my background. That's what I do during the day. I'm a software engineer. But for the most part, I kind of just want to take the time to debrief, tackle any thoughts that I have, and probably work on my public speaking. Try to stop using uhs and ums, which is definitely my crux in talking in general. I think I just have to learn how to take pauses and practice not saying anything and clearing my mind. So yeah, I feel like the past few days, I think there's been a little bit of a break in between this episode and last episode. I feel like I've been trying to tackle a lot of questions on what it means to do things that make you happy, surround yourself with people that make you happy, and it has thrown me for a whirl just because I've never asked those questions. If you come from a family or a situation like mine where you feel like you can't really take care of yourself all the time or think about yourself, then you probably have a similar mindset where you don't really think about why you're happy. You don't really think about why you like why you want to do things in general. There's usually an underlying reason, like I need to do well in school because I need to get a good job, and I need to get a good job because I need to take care of the people around me. Anyone who's similar in terms of being a people pleaser will probably have similar thoughts, and I'm learning now at the ripe age of 27 that it's important to think of yourself. And not really, I think for me, it's not really an issue about feeling stuck or feeling like I don't know what to do in my life, because when you are people pleasing, it always feels like there's a goal or there's something to work towards. So I never really feel like I'm stuck. I think it's just important because, like me, you may get to a point where you provide as much as you can and you feel happy with the amount that you're providing or you're people pleasing, and it often just kind of leaves you without any goals. And it's hard to always come up with the next goal, especially when you don't know what people want, and it's not their life, right? Like, you can help as many people as you want, but at one point you realize that you've helped somebody as much as you could, and you just it's okay if you just move on and work on whatever you want to work on. And that's when all these questions started popping into my head, where oh, hold on. My bad. Brother called me. I guess that's the problem a little bit with live podcasts, but it's not really going to change because if I posted it as recordings, then I'd also be interrupted, and I don't really want to edit all of this content. But anyway, yeah, I feel like these questions feel like extra credit, at least for me. I feel like I don't need to answer them, or I don't need to figure out all the things that make me happy, because I've always been okay with the small things in life to be happy. I've always been the type of guy that enjoys having bagels or being happy with food on the table, and so um, yeah, the bar has always been in hell. The bar has always just been like really really low when it comes to satisfying myself um, with different like extrinsic things. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's gonna take some time to figure out what makes me happy, and the I think I talked about this a little bit time and time again. I guess it's because I'm constantly thinking about it and it just keeps coming up in my head. But I feel like the best way to find what makes you happy is to just gravitate, like whatever you want to do because you just want to do it. And if you have the capability to do it, you should just go ahead and start. I was watching this TED Talk. I wish I could remember it. Yeah, it was a TED Talk by a Stanford teacher, and it was about finding what makes you happy, or having a life that makes you happy. I believe that was one of the titles. I'll try to find it. But in this TED Talk, he talks about a lot of things. The main thing that I got out of it was this theory that if you had 9 parallel worlds and you can be whatever you want in each of those worlds, then you would think about what you would want to be. So, for example, if I liked cooking, I would be a chef in one. And if I liked content creating, I'd be a content creator in another. And if I liked volleyball, then I would just play volleyball all day or be a volleyball player, and so on and so forth. And you would just think about all the different lives that you have, and eventually what he proposed was to try and do that as much as you can. Like, those what he proposed was that those 9 lives, or those parallel worlds, were things that we can seek out, and each of those worlds were sources of passion and energy and ways to be happy. And so, in a way, if we try to like create those worlds, because we can probably be all those things in our life right now. Like, the world is not so one-dimensional where you only have to be a chef or you only have to be a software engineer. You can multitask or be multifaceted. Then our life will always be filled with different ways to be creative. And I think that's what I'm trying to do now. uh, I guess the question that I'm trying to figure out is, what do I what do I want to do besides being a software engineer? Like, I know that I like coding, and I know I like developing, but there are probably other goals that would be really, really fun to tackle, just because, like, like that's what would be fun. Like, that's what would be creative and enjoyable just to do it, right? So, yeah, think about that for yourself. I feel like I'm not gonna go through the entire exercise because it might take a little bit too long, but it might be worth it if you're also trying to figure out why, or trying to figure out what to do with your time if you feel like you're not really inspired, or you feel like you don't have as much energy. It's not really because you're out of energy, it's just that you're not filling your life with things that provide you with a lot of passion and a lot of motivation. There's a reason why, at least for me, when I was in school, I would get tired during school and I would get really bored. But as soon as I would get home, I would feel revitalized and I would have all this energy to play video games or to try and create. At the time, I was doing video game content with some family members. So, yeah, it was like that's what was fun for me. And even that burned out. Like, just it wasn't enough to only do content creation and only play video games and only go to school, because like there are times when everything just kind of burns out, and you just need kind of like a rotational system to, like, enough things to rotate into. So when you're tired of one thing, you can just go, okay, like, I don't have to do this 24/7, and I don't have to do this back to back. Like, I'll have other things to do. So I guess, yeah, now that I'm speaking about it, I should probably I should probably think about what those other things are with this project, because I'm going to be doing content so much that I should try and find different outlets for making it enjoyable. I think that this is one of them. I think that the podcast is one way where I can just talk about whatever I want, and I can figure out things, um, or figure out what I plan to do next. I just feel like it's just so much, like, I don't want it to be so much thinking. I just, like, I remember that I went on, like, a chat AI system. I went on, like, Google's chat system, which is, like, Google's versions of ChatGPT. And I asked, how do you make a good live podcast? And one of the things that stood out to me was to outline the podcast. And every time that I write different concepts down, it feels like I write down these topics that I want to talk about, but by the time that I film, I already feel like I lost the inspiration for wanting to talk about it, or the direct points. And there was even a point when I would write down everything that I'm thinking, but it just felt so robotic. It felt weird to just write down everything that I wanted to say, and then when I hit record, I just looked down at a piece of paper and read what I wrote. So I'm trying to avoid that, and I'm trying to be more authentic. I feel like even right now, I'm still trying to open up and be a little bit more of myself, but it does feel a little bit weird talking straight into a camera for however long. But yeah, hopefully this challenge will be good. I think that by the end of the challenge, at the end of the 6 months, this channel will probably be a lot more different, or I'll feel like a different person. I feel like I'll probably grow as a content creator. And I'm also, like, just mentioning this because I do want to come back to this episode in particular and see how much of it was right, or how much, I guess, how much things have changed. So, yeah, I don't know. Every time that I try to pursue something, whenever I feel like I lack motivation, the first thing that I do is I go into my car and I go on a drive, or maybe it's like the next time that I'm driving, maybe I won't actively go to my car and start driving, but if I have somewhere to go, I will kind of make it the first agenda or the second agenda. My first agenda would be getting to wherever I need to go, but my second task would be to think about whatever I wanted to do. I would play music that was super inspirational or motivational, not like some rocky music, but I don't know. For me, what does it for me is um, a lot of Post Malone songs do it for me. Like Go Flex is a good one, and sometimes anime music, or just anything that's like super poppy and uplifting, and kind of like you can do it, you can make it. So I would, whenever I was in a car, I would blast this music and I would just kind of like not close my eyes because I'm driving, but I would just focus on the road and imagine what my life would be like if I did whatever my goal was. And I would think about specifically what would be the first thing that I would do. So back when I was studying to be a software engineer and to get into Google, I I didn't know I didn't even know if I was going to get into Google. I was just like preparing for interviews in general, and I was studying. I studied online courses for a year, which is already really really hard. I was working a 9 to 5, and then after my 9 to 5, I would go into studying, and after studying, I would prepare for interviews. So, you know, my day was pretty packed, and I would have a year of that, and then I would spend another year studying and just preparing fully for interviews before I even started to apply for jobs. So for 2 years, it was really hard to keep a constant stream of motivation. And what I would do is I would do what I'm saying. So I would think about the first thing I would do, and the first thing I thought about was how I would be done with my student loans, which was at the time $200,000. But I would have the money to pay it all off, and I would get a drink with my friends. It was something super simple, and it was something where it was weird. It was like, oh, I can get a drink with my friends right now, but I don't it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as liberating to be able to just have a drink and relax. And I was thinking about the feeling of just letting go and not having to worry about tomorrow, not having to worry about if I had to if I had to save money. I could just like spend however much I want at the bar, and I could just enjoy some time with some friends and not have to think about any of that. So that was the thing that ended up driving me and ended up pushing me to not only study for 2 years but eventually get my dream job. And now I guess I never really asked myself what would be the first thing that I would do. Let's say like my goal, right? At the end of this project that lasted 6 months of content creation, what do I want it to look like? I I guess I would hope that I have a bigger audience, and I would have people that not only cared about what I thought about, but also cared because it impacted them in a positive way. I would hope that I made a positive difference in how people think, at least, and not really caring about if I make a positive impact in their life, because I feel like positive impact would be great, but I'm not really going to expect it from people. It's kind of hard to translate thoughts into actions, and to it's hard to it's easy, it's easier said than done is what I'm trying to say. And the most that I think that I can do as a content creator and as a person with some form of a platform is to just try and shift your perspective a little bit. So I hope that there's a bigger community, a more caring community, a place where people can come and support each other. And I hope that, I guess another thing would be that it ends up being a second stream of income. It would be nice if I didn't have to only rely on my job to make money, and I would be able to pay my loans off faster. I'm aiming to finish my loans by March of next year, but it would be nice to finish that a lot sooner, right? And I guess March is also 6 months away, or 7 months away, but it can still, like, it still would be good to make some progress moving forward. So yeah, I I don't know what it would mean for my life. I guess I hope that it wouldn't change anything, but I feel like that's a pipe dream. I feel like already with my taste of success, it's already changed my life in a lot of different ways where my dynamics with people have changed, my thought processes have changed, and my perspective of life has changed now meeting a lot of people that I've worked with. And I feel like it's going to be the same thing with creating any different source of income. I feel like whenever you start to go into different avenues of life, you're just going to meet a lot of different people and you're going to have your perspective shift again. So I guess like I guess I'm I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what I would do. I guess the first thing that I would do is I would really like to buy a really nice camera. I have a camera here and it's hooked up for live streaming, and I've always wanted a second camera, but I've never had the incentive to do it. You know, I bought this one camera to say like, okay, this is going to be my investment into content creation. I don't feel comfortable buying another one if I'm not really doing that well, or I don't know. I'm a big person of saying like I'll buy whatever I need when I get to a certain point, and I feel like I'm not at that point yet. So I would like one of those really cool expensive cameras, try to figure out all of the settings, and I think that I would like, what I guess I would like to do is I would like to show prettier short films. I'm gonna start doing a lot of short films soon and I'm excited for it, but I think I've always wanted to do short films. I always wanted to share small different like quotes or mottos, and I guess I just wanted to inspire people in a very quick way, something that wouldn't take up their time but would be enough to help them enjoy their day a little bit more. I tried long form, short form, I tried a bunch of different things, but I honestly feel like it never really touched people as much or as many people because I wasn't doing what I like to do and I wasn't doing what I enjoyed, and how can other people enjoy it if they don't feel that ingenuity, right? So I think that that's what I envision. I think that I envision a short film that I could be proud of. I think I want to get to that point. I want to get to that point where I can watch a piece of content that I make and I could be really proud that I made it. And I want to be surrounded by a small team of people that share the same vision and want to inspire people in the same way, maybe with like 4 or 5 people, and that way I feel like, you know, I'm creating good content, I'm sharing the value with not just my community but with a team of people that enjoy doing it, and I think it would allow me to just continue growing or continue finding different avenues to grow in. So yeah, I'm not going to keep, I think that I'm not really going to keep track of how long podcasts go. There's a lot of things that a podcast should have. It should have an outline, it should have a format, it should have a consistent schedule, and it should have a set time every single time. But I think I want to keep it real, and keeping it real means that some podcasts will go longer and some will go shorter. And honestly, I feel like recently the past 4 episodes have been really good at showcasing why this is called the Yapping My Ass Off podcast. But I hope that I have more interesting things to talk about as I continue to grow into my own skin and be more of myself on camera. But yeah, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, I put you to sleep or I changed your mind and inspired you with a different perspective. Either way, uh, this is the end of episode 4. I really appreciate you guys stopping by, and subscribe if you haven't so that you can see more content.